And welcome to Inside SRSO. I'm Sergeant Richard Aloy, Public Information Officer for the Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office. With me, I have Jacqueline Kovac, Crime Prevention Coordinator. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm happy to be here today, and we have a lot to talk about.
We do. We've had a very interesting couple of weeks, and let's get right to the hot topics, all the things we want to talk about, stuff that happened. So, first one. Interesting.
National story. Our agency's been contacted by, I can't even list the number of organizations that have called us asking for this information, but it's, we arrested a man, Brian Stewart. You just read the arrest report, so tell us about that.
This is what's unusual about it. We had an individual that thought it was a good idea to maybe have some adult beverages and have a knife that had kindness written on it. And I guess the cliche is kill him with kindness. Well, unfortunately, it didn't work out very well. He ended up going to jail. It's a really bad mix when you put those things together, and you end up going to the Milton Hilton.
Right.
So, yeah, it was national news because it's one of those as seen in Florida kind of deals that we see on the internet all the time. But it was picked up, and if you haven't seen it, it's out there, I'm sure. You can Google it. But, yeah, that individual is now in jail, and he's got several charges, include aggravated battery, and these are all felony charges, so definitely not the thing you want to do.
Right. Definitely something, it's kind of baffling because there are those, Florida man stories, and this kind of does fit the bill for that. But at the same time, there are several people that are, kind of the victims in this case. There was the man that was actually cut by the knife that was used, or I believe it was a machete-like type knife, and then there was another person that was involved in that, and then there was a woman and a child. It was just so much going on, and it could have been far worse than what it ended up being. So I guess we're just thankful that it was the way that it was rather than what it could have been.
Yeah.
So.
And we also had an unfortunate situation which an elderly woman was arrested for homicide. She was in her upper 90 years of age, and that individual was arrested by the Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office. That was on the news as well. And right now it's up to the state attorney's office how they're going to handle that case. Yes, the husband was killed during the incident, and very unfortunate circumstances, but we had a press conference on that, and if you guys miss our press conferences, that was another thing I wanted to mention, is all of our press conferences are generally on our Facebook page, and you can go in there and check them out. But that was a very unfortunate situation, and now it's in the state attorney's hands.
I know we haven't really, even if you watched the press conference, there wasn't many details released in that, and that's just because there's a lot of things that we can't talk about in this stage of an investigation, just because it could impact how the investigation plays out. It could impact how things are played out in court. So we get questions all the time. Well, why didn't you say this? Why didn't you say that? And the law really does bind us, and our investigations really do bind us from being able to say what we know, just because of the fact that it really could impact how things unravel later on.
Great. I'm glad you mentioned that, because one of the things that I deal with when a news camera comes up and says, hey, can you tell us about this case? I usually know most important details of the case, and the reason why we can't come out and say, well, this is what happened, this is where it occurred, and so forth and so on, is for multiple reasons. First and foremost is protecting the case. If the case has not been fully investigated, we don't want to say, oh yeah, the guy used a 22 caliber handgun.
Right.
Well, if we do that and the only person that knows that is the suspect, well, now everybody knows it was a 22 caliber handgun. So my job is to protect the case, protect the details of the case, to solve the case. Then after that, once that information is available and the detectives say, hey, you can release this, we'll release it. We protect the name, especially next of kin. So if the family doesn't know the person's dead, the last thing you want is for the news to tell the person that's sitting at home. So we have to go through that process, and we also partner with the state attorney's office to make sure that the Florida State Statute 119, which is public information, public records, we have to protect certain information. When an officer gets arrested, why don't you post this picture? Well, a law enforcement officer, along with several others, include state attorney, and there's a huge list. We can't release their photos because they are protected under the law. I know it's not just law enforcement officers. There's all different jobs in which we can't do that. So believe me, there's nothing more for me that I would like to do than to put it all out there and just move on to the next case.
Right.
But our job is to protect that information. So, when you see me out there and I'm like, well, I can't really get into that. Those are the reasons why.
And we hope that answers some of the questions that we see on our Facebook page as well, because we do see the comments. Well, why? What happened to this? Why can't you tell us this? And we're just kind of stuck.
We are. So hey, last night I went to a really awesome meeting.
Yes, tell me about this.
This was the 98 construction meeting. Oh man, let me tell you, that's going to be huge. So from my understanding, and don't quote me on the numbers because there's so many numbers being thrown out, upwards of $330 million is going to be spent to widen Highway 98. And that is, I believe, somewhere around 23, 26 miles. And they had a plan, they had maps on there, which was really interesting. The map was about 20 feet long. They had two of them. It was massive.
So not to scale.
Almost. That was quite impressive. I'll give them that. So the map had an actual drawing of where the road is going to be. They talked about public right-of-way and how that's going to be affected and encroaching upon people's property. But in the long run, the timeline was about 2023, and there's so many different phases. I feel comfortable in saying it ain't going to start for about another 5 years or so.
And I'm sure this is just the start of many meetings to come.
It's planning. It's pre-planning to the planning, and that's where they're at. And they just kind of designed it. And the other thing that I'd heard, some of the things that were mentioned was because of the tragedy of the hurricane over in Bay County, some of those dollars may be relocated. So I couldn't, and trust me, I tried to get commitments to how much are you going to spend, how's this going to affect us?
How big, yeah.
But no, we couldn't get to that. But it was a very interesting meeting. I know they put out a lot of different media type publications to show folks how it's going to look. I think it's going to be great. It's going to allow more traffic to flow through. And don't drive in the left lane. I can't tell you how important that is. Don't drive in the left lane.
And move over, but we'll talk a little bit more about that later. Yes.
But hey, if you have any questions on that, FDOT, go to their website. They got all of it. I thought it was fascinating, and it's going to be really cool for us.
Yeah. So next month we have the drawing for one of our deputies, Deputy Nick Hubbard. He is up in Maryland at Johns Hopkins right now. He is undergoing some therapy for this cancer that he is fighting, and he's doing great. Him and his family are working hard. They're battling this together, and we are backing him as well. And we're doing a gun drawing for him, and that's going to happen on February 14th at 2 p.m. at Gulf Coast Guns and Outdoor. So if you are interested in buying tickets, you can stop at any of our district offices or our main office. It's one ticket for $10 or 3 tickets for $20. So you can stop up and help support him and his family as he goes through this, because he's our brother. He's one of ours. Yeah. One of ours. So we've got to take care of him.
Well, hey, let's go to a quick commercial break. We got more to talk about. Why are we here?
Because you guys busted me stealing from cars.
So how were you getting into these cars?
It's easy, man. I just open the doors.
What do you mean you just open the doors?
Most of the cars I get into are left unlocked.
What are you looking for when you get into these cars?
Cell phones, wallets, guns, purses with money, and even sunglasses. You'd be surprised what people leave in their vehicles. If people would just lock their cars.
This is where I grew up. I know the streets, I know a lot of the people. My father's been a police officer for over 25 years. It's sort of a family business. I feel very safe and proficient with what I have in my belt. I would not hesitate to put my life on the line for somebody else. I feel like the community here is very supportive. I love working in Santa Rosa County, and it is a great place to both live and work. I'm Jillian Fernandez, and I'm proud to be a Santa Rosa County Deputy Sheriff.
Welcome back to the show, Inside SRSO, where we bring the Sheriff's Office to you. Hey, cool video. We are hiring. We'll get to that in a few, but just wanted to give you a little insight as to how we work here at the Sheriff's Office and just bring you some new stuff. We left off on Deputy Hubbard.
Yes.
Great guy. If you're watching and your family, we wish you the best of luck. And take an opportunity to help out fellow law enforcement officer and get those tickets available at the main office, any of our substations. Just call up, and there's a gun raffle. It's got a really cool gun. I guess they're raffling off. I don't know much about guns, just the one I carry, but it's a really neat gun that was offered, and drawn by Gulf Coast Guns and Outdoors that provided that for us. So thank you for your kind donation.
And you don't even have to be present for the drawing to win. So if you want to buy a ticket and then just kind of, set it aside, go about your life and what you need to do, if you win, we'll call you.
Yep. Next up, Move Over Law. Traffic campaign for January. This January is Move Over Law month. What does that mean? Move Over Law. So if pulling over somebody on Highway 98, for example, and I'm on the side of the road, Florida law states that you are to vacate the lane closest to us or slow down 20 miles an hour. Just this morning, it was great. I did a traffic stop on the side of Highway 98, and everybody was vacating over. That gives us room to work. And it's not just law enforcement officers. It's our fellow troopers. It's
firefighters, EMS, and even
tow trucks.
Yes.
So if you see those lights going off on the side of the road, please move over. That's our primary. That's what we like.
Right.
And then if not, reduced by 20 miles an hour.
Right. We produced a quick little video that we'd like to show you that just kind of shows just how dangerous not moving over can be for not only us, but for anybody that we might be pulling over. So let's take a look at that.
Okay, sir, this is the citation for speed. However, I did give you your break, but you need to do me a favor, slow on down, just because of the fact that, it is dangerous out here speeding right here. So do me a favor, slowing down. Whoa! Slowing down. Whoa! Wow. That's the reason why you got to have a move over law in effect to save somebody's life.
And that's
Wow.
sobering.
It is.
Just to see how close that car was to one of our deputies, and that's not, even though that's something that we made happen, that's something that our deputies see more often than they should. And I would like it to be one day where our deputies can safely perform a traffic stop and not have to worry about that happening.
So I'll tell you two things. One personally happened to me. I was on a traffic stop on Highway 98, and as I was standing next to the car, a vehicle came by so close, his mirror hit the back of my OC canister with with the side mirror, and man, did that hurt. Unfortunately, there's law enforcement officers across the country that are killed because you're just too close. I suspect it's because when you see lights, you tend to gravitate towards them.
Rubbernecking.
Or that.
Right.
But you go flying by a law enforcement officer and just think, we're out there doing our job. That's our office area, and that's where we conduct our job. So we ask you to please vacate that lane or slow down 20 miles an hour below the speed limit. Now, we get it. Sometimes there's a lot of traffic. Especially
on Highway 98.
Yeah, or 90.
Or
90 is really bad. And you see a law enforcement officer, you see those lights going, just start looking out for us. Even in ambulances, fire trucks, the fire guys, I hear it all the time. Man, I wish they would just slow down and give us room to work. So it's a very important law. Last year we had a trooper that was killed on I-10. And just recently there was another video that I saw.
Yes, I believe it was down in South Florida. Another trooper was either injured or possibly killed because somebody chose not to move over and they chose not to slow down. And, it could be that they are texting and driving, which is also illegal. You shouldn't be doing that. Or they're just distracted with something else.
Let's talk about texting and driving. Folks, your primary focus is to drive.
Right.
And I cannot tell you how many times, and I drive an unmarked car, and I'm driving down the road, I look over, and what do I see? Somebody that's just clearly texting, driving with their knee, or there's people in the car, kids, and you really got to focus on the driving first. And through all of the studies that I've looked at in Santa Rosa County, it would appear as if texting and driving is a huge issue in Santa Rosa County. I can't tell you the amount of rear-end crashes that we see in Santa Rosa because people are on their cell phones. And the warning to that is, if you do get into an accident and you cause injury to somebody else, first thing a trooper is going to do is they're going to download your phone to find out that you were texting. So it's not worth it. Pay attention to the road and just watch where you're going. Just wait to text. I can't stress that enough. It's a very dangerous environment.
Let's jump over. Last week was Law Enforcement Appreciation Week, and we had a number of local businesses and people just stop by the office to even just say thank you. There were donuts dropped off. There was pizza dropped off. So many delicious goodies that you and I cannot even eat, but we appreciate it. We know the other deputies do. But we also had a Channel 3 reporter stop by the office to just train with us and see what it's like. It was so cool watching her experience the different things that you guys have to do.
Yes.
You guys always try to ask me to get involved in.
You need to. I mean, you've been here for what, over a year?
Over a year and a half. No. I come out every time. I'm the one with the camera.
But you got to participate. Like, you got to get tased. Can I tase you?
No. Okay. But let's see how Danielle handled it all.
From school shootings to traffic stops, this technology puts deputies to the test. I gave it a try.
What's in your hand, sir?
You want to see my ID? I got it right here.
Your ID? Well, let's do it very slowly.
Quickly, I had to choose between pulling a weapon or no weapon at all. Fortunately, I didn't have to fire, but it wasn't an easy choice.
I would have been in trouble in all of these scenarios.
The simulator records the reactions, making it easy to identify deficiencies.
She was a champ. She got the tase, she did the obstacle course, she did the firing range with you guys, the simulation, pepper spray. She did it all. She is a bigger woman than I am.
Let me tell you, she was a trooper. Danielle, you did an awesome job.
You did.
Let me tell you why we do that. First and foremost is we partner with our local media. We got great relationships with everyone, but we also want the media to understand what we go through.
Yes.
How the training is. So when you do talk about an incident, it gives you a little bit of background and education. So, and she was in a scenario where we put her in a simulator, and during that simulator, you're actually combating somebody, and not of course with your hands, but with the way you train is by speaking, and it reacts to you. And that initial thought of do you shoot or non-shoot situation, eye-opening. I mean, it's huge. Even us, when I go through there, your hands get sweaty. And that's how realistic the simulator is. So, Danielle, great job. You did wonderful.
Yeah.
Come on back in the future if you'd like to. We had a good time.
Yeah, if you want to see Danielle's full story, we did go ahead and link that on our Facebook page. So just go ahead and find us, Santa Rosa Sheriff's Office on Facebook, and you can click the link to go to WEAR's website to watch her full story. It's really great.
Yeah,
but,
she did absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
And speaking of Facebook, guys, go on our Facebook page. Just look up Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office. Got a lot of information on there for you. And let's go to a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Why are we here?
Because you guys busted me stealing from cars.
So how were you getting into these cars?
It's easy, man. I just open the doors.
What do you mean you just open the doors?
Most of the cars I get into are left unlocked.
What are you looking for when you get into these cars?
Cell phones, wallets, guns, purses with money, and even sunglasses. You'd be surprised what people leave in their vehicles. If people would just lock their cars. If people would just lock their cars.
From that first day when I started hearing stories about what law enforcement actually, entailed, I was hooked. I'm very involved with, being on the SWAT team. It's my niche, if you will. I take pride in what I do. And my wife grew up in Santa Rosa County. I have, 2 children, one on the way. I try to be the best husband and father I can be. Hopefully at the end of the day, it make me a better cop as well.
I am Michael Ramirez, and I am proud to be a Santa Rosa County Deputy Sheriff.
And welcome back. Let's go over our favorite part of the show, Wanted Fugitives.
Wanted Fugitives. So we have 4 today, so let's just go ahead and get started. The first one that we have is Kenneth Marcel Andrews. He is wanted for battery. It's domestic battery by strangulation. He's a black male and is 35 years old. Kenneth is approximately 6 foot 2 inches and 160 pounds. He has black hair and brown eyes.
He looks happy in that picture for some reason. Next up is Clinton Farrell McDaniel, and he's wanted for intimidation, sending written threats to kill. So Clinton is a white male. He is 39 years old. He is approximately 5'9", 215 pounds. He has brown hair and brown eyes.
All right, next up we have Ellery Lamar Laister. He's wanted for an order revoking bond, fleeing and eluding law enforcement officer at a high rate of speed with siren and lights, and knowingly operating with driving without a license. He is a black male, 34 years old, approximately 5'8", 195 pounds. He has black hair and brown eyes.
And next up is Dwayne Michael Levette, and he is wanted for probation violation, theft from a person 65 years old or older, less than $10,000. Dwayne's a black male, 40 years old. He's approximately 6 foot tall, 175 pounds. He has brown hair and green eyes. And Dwayne has called the sheriff's office on numerous occasions about his warrant to say that he will turn himself in, but he did not.
So you can beat him to it. You can turn him in by calling Crime Stoppers.
Why would you do that? Why would you?
I don't know. But if you know where he is, you can call Crime Stoppers and collect a reward. You can call 437-STOP. You can go online at srccs.com.
SRCCS.
Yes, srccs.com. Or you can even download the app. It's the P3 Tips app. You can download it in the Apple Store or Google Play. Download it to your phone, and you can make a tip that way. Check on your tip status, and see if you collect a reward. So
100% anonymous. We don't want to know who you are. We just want your information.
You never have to tell the person that you're talking to your name. You never have to put it in your tip if you're doing it electronically. And it won't ask you for it either. There's no part that says what is your name or anything like that. And if you're doing it electronically, there's no IP address tracking or monitoring or anything like that.
And the phone number is in Canada.
Yes. Yeah, it goes to Canada.
Yeah.
So
phone tracking. So anyhow,
yeah.
Tell us about tobacco use in schools. It is bad.
It is bad. We were talking with some of our SROs. We have 2 sergeants that are over our school resource officer program, and they were telling us about just the number of citations that our deputies have had to write for tobacco use, whether it's kids having tobacco products or using tobacco products. More often, it's the vaping and juuling that's going on, and we're seeing a number of tips come in through the Speak Out program about this, but our deputies are having to write so many citations. So we went ahead and produced a video for the schools that will be playing hopefully beginning of next week that is helpful for our students to know why it's illegal for them to possess these items, but 2, how it could impact them. So let's hear from Deputy Philip Smith on why our students need to stay away from tobacco.
I'm Deputy Smith, a school resource officer with the Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office. Lately, more students are finding themselves in trouble for the use and possession of tobacco products. While it may seem cool, here's why you should say no to all forms of tobacco, including vapes and juuls. When you're caught with tobacco products, you'll be issued a tobacco citation by the Sheriff's Office. On this citation, all your information is recorded. You'll be required to sign it, and you'll be given a copy. You'll have 30 days to pay that fine, which is $30. You'll also be required by the school board to complete a tobacco cessation program. You can find that program on the school board's website. Once you complete that program, you'll print off a certificate. You'll take that certificate along with a copy of the tobacco citation to the county courthouse. There you'll pay that fine of $30. Now, those of you who want to be stubborn and don't take this too serious, just to let you know, if you fail to complete the program, if you fail to pay the fine, then the state of Florida can suspend your driver's license for up to 60 days. Guys, let's face it. If you're 14, 15 years old, the only thing you got on your mind is getting your driver's license. So, as hard as it is already, I would say let's don't make it any harder by not paying the fine or completing the program. Heck, why use tobacco at all? We all know it's bad for your body. You guys are growing as teenagers. Your body is changing, and all tobacco use does is inhibit your body from developing properly. And down the road, it may cause other problems. So let's just say no to tobacco products altogether. Then we won't have these issues. All right, guys. I appreciate your time. I'm Deputy Smith, and I'll see you on the other side. Have a good day.
That was a pretty good video, and thank you to Deputy Smith for doing that. Folks, let me tell you, if you're a parent and you have a kid, you may want to take a look at what's going on their cell phones. Here recently, there was a couple incidences in which a child was vaping, and it was caught on Snapchat. So you want to take a look at your kids' phones and see what's happening, because and if you're not familiar with what vaping and juuling is, it's a way of taking...
It's an electronic cigarette,
Yeah,
basically.
bingo.
Yeah, that's
Great description.
It boils it down to. And we've had a couple people ask us, oh, we should have a class on it. Well,
Google it.
One, Google it, but
Yeah, you'll see
two, the same law for regular rolled cigarettes applies to these electronic cigarettes. So
if you have a kid, make sure you're paying attention to the social media. And we teach a class in reference to this for parents on how to go through your kids' phones, but take a look and familiarize yourself with what it looks, what the container looks like, what the little charging adapters look like, and it's a huge market targeted for kids with all these cute smells and flavors and everything else, and you know, they're getting hooked.
It's eye-opening once you look into it.
So next up we have some updates for the sheriff's office. First is we just swore in 7 new deputies. We want to wish them all good luck in their future careers, and some of them may or may not go to school resource officers, which we're still looking to hire. We also have 10 open positions at the moment, so if you are interested in becoming a law enforcement officer, take a look at it. Go to our website, santarosasheriff.org.
And we even have positions for some civilians. So if you are not a law enforcement officer, never been, or don't want to be, you can still come to work with us, because we still have a couple different positions that you can do as a civilian.
And really, our website shows you everything you need to know.
Yes.
So go there, on the top right-hand corner, it says careers. Click on that. There's some videos. There's all kinds of things you could look at. It'll walk you through the process. If you're watching this and you're out of state, it'll even walk you through that. So we want to thank you for tuning in. And hey, remember also, if you have a question for Sheriff Johnson, go to our Facebook page. We'll answer it here for you. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you the next time.
Have a great day.